Long before the floodwaters swallowed the earth, before empires rose, before kings wore crowns, before history was ever written, something walked this world that was never meant to exist. Giants, creatures born in an age so dark, so corrupted, that even their names were almost erased from human memory. Imagine standing beneath the night sky and hearing footsteps so heavy the ground beneath you begins to shake. Imagine looking toward the mountains and seeing figures so enormous their shadows move across the valleys like living darkness. Who were these beings? Why does sacred scripture mention them only briefly, as if humanity was never supposed to know the full story? And what if the flood of Noah was not only sent to destroy wicked men, but to wipe these giants from the face of the earth forever? In me, the beginning, the world was not broken. The earth was young, untouched, wild with beauty. Rivers ran clear through valleys, mountains, and forests stretched farther than the eye could see. It was a world still carrying the breath of creation. And across that world, humanity began to multiply. Generation after generation, the children of Adam spread across the earth. They built families, formed tribes, raised cities from dust and stone. Life was expanding. Knowledge was growing. Civilization was taking its first steps, but something was changing. A quiet shift. A darkness creeping into the hearts of men. Pride began replacing humility. Desire began overpowering wisdom. Violence, once rare, started becoming familiar. Brother turned against brother. Power became more valuable than truth. The strong began ruling through fear, while the weak learned to survive in silence. And with every passing generation, the world drifted farther from the purity it once knew. Then, hidden within just a few ancient lines of Book of Genesis, Scripture reveals one of the most disturbing mysteries in human history. A passage so brief says, "When men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they took for themselves wives of all whom they chose." Who were these sons of God? Were they righteous men from the line of Seth, as some have believed? Or were they something far more terrifying, ancient spiritual beings, watchers from the eye, heavens, beings that had witnessed creation itself? For centuries, this question has haunted the minds of those who dared to study these verses deeply. Because if these were merely human men, why would Scripture separate them so distinctly from the daughters of men? Why describe this union as the beginning of something so catastrophic that it would soon lead to divine judgment? Something unnatural had entered the human story. These were not ordinary marriages. These were unions that crossed boundaries never meant to be crossed. Imagine the fear of those living in that age, watching beings unlike any they had ever seen descend into the world of men. Imagine villages whispering about impossible encounters. Imagine mothers pulling their children indoors as rumors spread of figures whose presence carried both beauty and terror. The children born from those forbidden unions did not grow like ordinary men. They grew faster, stronger, larger, and as the years passed, it became impossible to ignore what was happening. Boys became giants, their voices carried like thunder across open land. Their footsteps shook the ground beneath villages. Their strength was beyond imagination. Stone that would take 10 men to lift, they moved alone. Weapons that no ordinary warrior could carry, they wielded as if they weighed nothing. And wherever they walked, fear followed. These were the Nephilim, the mighty ones of old, the men of renown. Their names spread across the earth like wildfire. Some worshipped them, some served them, some bowed in fear before them, believing these beings were gods. But power without wisdom always becomes something darker. And the Nephilim were not simply strong, they were hungry for dominion, for worship, for control. Entire regions began falling under their influence. Cities rose around their power. Men fought wars in their names. Tribes offered loyalty just to survive. Those who resisted disappeared. Those who spoke against them were silenced. The earth that had once reflected beauty now echoed with violence. Fear ruled the hearts of men. Children grew up hearing the names of giants with trembling voices. Mothers prayed their sons would never cross their paths. Fathers taught their families how to hide when shadows appeared on the horizon. And somewhere in the middle of this collapsing world, one man kept watching. While giants ruled kingdoms, while corruption consumed the earth, Noah walked with God. The corruption of the Nephilim was no longer limited to their bloodline. It had infected the human heart itself. Scripture would later describe it with chilling clarity, that every intention of mankind's heart had become evil continually. And in a world where almost every voice had gone silent before evil, Noah still listened for the voice of heaven. Then one day, that voice came. God had seen enough. Build an ark. And still, Noah obeyed. Day after day, year after year, while the world laughed, Noah built. Under the gaze of mocking crowds, under the shadows of giants, he kept building what many believed would become the greatest symbol of human foolishness. Then the day came. The heavens opened, and water began rising from every direction. Rivers became torrents. Valleys became oceans. Mountains disappeared beneath walls of water. The cries of men echoed across the earth as panic replaced pride. Kings, warriors, giants, all of them suddenly faced the same truth. Even the mighty Nephilim, the beings who once made nations tremble, vanished beneath the flood like everyone else. And as the ark rose above the waters, an entire age disappeared beneath the judgment of God. When the waters finally retreated, the world was silent. The kingdoms were gone, the cities were gone, and the giants were supposed to be gone too. But were they? Because generations after Noah, Scripture would mention giants again. Names whispered in fear. Warriors so massive that entire armies trembled at the sight of them. Was it coincidence, legend, or did something survive Noah's flood? And if echoes of that ancient world still remain hidden in history, what else has humanity forgotten? If this story opened your eyes, subscribe to the channel and like this video for more forgotten mysteries buried in the ancient world.